Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to our Quantum Human Design group. I'm Karen Curry Parker, creator of Quantum Human Design, and I'm excited to be hanging out with you live today. And I'm going to be popping in here live for the next couple of weeks every day just to make sure that we get your questions answered and that you have an opportunity to really explore more in depth your quantum human design. So I thought I'd start us off today with an exploration about what is quantum human design, because people ask me that all the time. What is the difference between quantum human design and traditional human design? So I want to just say I've been a student of human design for 22 years, and I've been teaching it for about that long. I first ran into human design, if you will, in late 1999. I was at the time living in suburban Houston. I was a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids, and I was homeschooling my kids. And my husband at the time went on a spiritual retreat to Sedona, Arizona, and came back from the spiritual retreat with a human design chart. And I saw that chart. He showed me his chart. He was a projector. I saw that chart and it hit me. It landed. I can still remember that moment of just literally the whole chart itself came into my body and just took my breath away. And I just started to cry. And I don't know why I cried. It was just one of those moments where, and maybe some of you have had that experience where you know something is so right? It's just so much a part of your life path, your trajectory. I just knew it was so right that I said to my husband at the time, I have to learn everything I can about this system. And so we consequently, in a great leap of faith, took our house, got it ready, put it on the market, sold it within 2 weeks, packed up the kids, and drove with these kids our 4 kids to Sedona, Arizona. And when we got there, our youngest son had an ear infection. So I took him to the pediatrician's office and came out of the pediatrician's office after his appointment with this little kid on my hip. I think he was about 4 at the time. Maybe not even, I think he was 3. And as I came out with this kid on my hip, came out of the office, I looked at the doorway across the hall from the pediatrician's office, and there was a human design body graph on the door. And I thought, well, I'm just going to go in here. So I opened up the door to this office, and the woman behind the desk, it was a small office, this little tiny woman with white hair was there, and this woman behind the desk said to me, "Oh, did you come for the job?" And I said, "Yep." And she hired me there on the spot, and I got to work for Human Design America, which was where the headquarters for Human Design America at the time. And I got to study personally with Ra Uru Hu, the founder of traditional human design. So I have this long journey of working with human design and sharing human design. I left traditional human design probably about a few years later, around 2004, 2005, before it actually morphed into Jovian Archive, and started doing my own thing. Part of why I left human design, traditional human design, was, first of all, I felt like there was a conundrum in traditional human design. And that conundrum was, it was very difficult for me to figure out how we could have a system that said, find your own authority, because that's really what human design teaches us, right? It teaches us how to connect with our own inner authority. It was very hard for me to figure out how we could have a system that connected people with their inner authority, but then simultaneously told people they were wrong if their inner authority told them not to follow the system. That was a big philosophical conundrum for me. And it was such a big conundrum for me that I really ended up leaving, because I couldn't embrace the dogma of human design in conjunction with my love for the system, because I found that there were a lot of people who, once they experienced the system, they took that piece of truth with them, that connection to their own inner authority, but it didn't really lead them down some of the more rigid dogmatic pieces that are sometimes associated with traditional human design. So my original background, my original training is first and foremost as a nurse. I'm also trained as a journalist. I was a life coach before I was anything. I was one of the very first life coaches trained in the world. I studied with Thomas Leonard before he passed. And so I have always brought my life coaching background into my studies, if you will, my integration with human design. I've also been an energy psychology practitioner since the beginning of the emotional freedom techniques, EFT. So I've always brought that into my practice as well. So I've always looked at how can I integrate the emotional freedom techniques, the tapping, with human design. I'm going to get back to my main point. So one of the things that Ra used to talk about or teach was that he taught us, and he knew how to use the tool to, and these are his words, to shatter people. That the information in human design, the way he shared it, was designed to shatter people, to wake them up, and to get them out of their hypnosis, if you will, that hypnotic, mesmerized state of being enamored with your conditioned self, your not self is what he would call it. What Ra also used to say was that he wrote, or he received, the I Ching, the Rave I Ching, he called it. But that Rave I Ching was really, the language of that Rave I Ching was really designed to speak to the conditioned self, the inauthentic expression of who you are. And he said that he never had the opportunity yet, at the time when he said it, yet to write an awakened I Ching. He passed before he could. So there never was a more awakened vocabulary around human design. And for me personally, as a coach, as somebody whose path has always been about finding what is working and growing that, expanding upon that, the language of traditional human design for me often felt very limiting, even kind of dark in some cases, and certainly not uplifting and expansive. And so I have, over the last 10 years especially, been playing a lot with the vocabulary in human design, and of course also playing a lot with my very, very rudimentary love of quantum physics and creativity, and marrying this expansive new way of using more empowered, more high vibrational language with traditional human design. So the way I kind of see it is sort of like traditional human design is kind of designed to wake you up. For some people, it's a way of getting kind of shocked or initiated out of the sleep of being conditioned, if you will. And quantum human design gives us a tool to begin to use human design to rewrite our narrative in more positive, high vibrational frequency ways in order to give us a story, a narrative that's big enough and juicy enough to call us forward. So that quantum human design language is really designed to speak to the fulfillment of your potential, the expansion of the narrative of who you are. It gives us the ability to craft a personal narrative that is big enough, juicy enough, self-loving enough to call us forward. See, anytime we go through change, anytime we go through a cycle of growth, part of what happens for us is we get disrupted. Oftentimes it's these cataclysmic experiences. Hold on, gotta adjust my light here a little bit. Is these cataclysmic experiences of divorce, illness, losing a job, moving, even good cataclysmic experiences, having children. These experiences cause us to disrupt our old narrative. When we go through these experiences, COVID has been a big one, right? When we go through these big experiences, then the story we've told, the old story about who we were, is no longer valid. We're not who we used to be, right? So we have to tell a new narrative, tell a new story about who we are. When we go through a cycle of disruption, we get kicked out into this void state, right? Where we're like, I don't know who I am anymore. I'm not who I used to be. I don't know where I'm headed. We're vulnerable in that place. We're very vulnerable in that place because if we're not careful about consciously navigating through this void cycle, it's very easy to go back into our comfort zone, to go back into the old story and keep telling that old narrative that maybe doesn't really fit anymore. And when we have vocabulary and language that supports us in writing a story that's big enough, strong enough, powerful enough, compelling enough to inspire us to move across the void to the other side of the void, to into a new expanded expression of who we are. When we have that vocabulary, it becomes easier to write a narrative that really can allow us to shift and change. That was my vision for creating quantum human design. In the process of doing that, I've done a lot of research about actually how this language, and this language has all been deliberately crafted, this language actually impacts us on a cellular level. We can actually shift regulation of epigenes, DNA regulation, by the use of high frequency language. We know from science that when we use good, high quality language, we can actually use the power of language to splice DNA. When we program high frequency language into radio waves, we can use the syntax of language, which is universal across all languages, to change the nature of our DNA, to splice it, to adjust it, to manipulate it. That's how powerful language is. When we speak high quality frequency words to DNA, we put DNA in a jar and we speak loving, beautiful, high quality words to it. It actually causes the coils of DNA to expand, increasing our DNA's capacity to hold light, photons, which is the medium through which our nervous system functions, and our ability, our vibrational frequency functions, and we're better able to really increase our vibrational frequency and our influence on others in the world. When we use lower frequency, heavier, denser language, it actually causes DNA to contract, and we lose our capacity to hold higher frequencies of light and energies, and it makes us more dense and less influential. So having a set of vocabulary words that are juicy, high frequency, big enough, bold enough to call us forward is essential for us growing into the fulfillment of who we are, and for us to use that maximization of our potential to really influence others, to become beacons of light in our community, beacons of alignment in the world, and for us to ultimately come together, gather together in this state of alignment, this high frequency quality of energy that we embody, to begin to create a critical mass of people who are able to then collectively tell a narrative that enhances our ability to attract and experience the elegant solutions to the challenges facing humanity today. So that is why I created Quantum Human Design, and I am very excited over the next couple weeks to introduce you to some really powerful components of Quantum Human Design, and to help you in crafting for yourself a new narrative that is more compelling, more juicy, more expansive, and allows you to step into a higher state of your self-love. So check out our, starting on Monday next week, we're going to be doing a 7-day Self-Love by Design Quantum Human Design Challenge here in this group. Every day we're going to be posting little video lessons. You're going to get a nice little workbook that you can follow along with. We'll have an opportunity for live hot seat coaching. We'll have a chart-a-thon. You have a lot of chances to really go deep into understanding and exploring your quantum human design and how you can use this language to increase the quality of your personal narrative, and hopefully increase the quality and the speed at which you manifest your dreams in your reality. That's it. That's all I got for you today. Tomorrow, I think we'll talk a little bit about quantum human design and the creative process, and most specifically, things that you can do to influence time and timing. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.